Stevenson up against Kaminsky. Bucky good in the ball.
Chantel all the way to the basket. Foul. Lays it in for two.
Hey, good morning, basketball fans. Welcome to the Upstate Hoops Podcast, a special sectional preview edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast here on Sunday morning, March 7th, 2021. I'm Jim Sinacropi here inside the FingerLakes1.com Mechanic Street studio. We'll recap last week real quickly. We'll do our final power rankings of the season and then brackets. We're going to show you brackets. Every boys and girls bracket for next week's sectional tournament. It was a short 4-week regular season, concluded yesterday. Now tomorrow, sectionals start, so there's usually a few days, 4 or 5 days in between the end of the regular season and the start of sectionals. So I know that the girls' sectional brackets just came online about an hour ago, and the boys still aren't posted, although we can pretty much tell what they're going to be. I was up late last night and up early this morning to get this ready for you here so we can get some sense of what next week's going to look like in terms of Wayne Finger Lakes teams, especially vying for sectional championships. Different year this year, of course, obviously, and it'll be a different sectional tournament year as well. The higher seed will host throughout, which is no different than the first couple rounds. Normally for sectionals, but there's only 8 teams per bracket that qualified in each classification. Monday, Tuesday will be the first round games, semifinals on Wednesday, Thursday, and then finals will be on Friday, Saturday. And the finals won't be in the Blue Cross Arena. They won't be at Rush Henrietta High School or where are the normal venues that we're used to being. They'll be in the higher seeds home gym. So that's why sectional standings were even more important this year. It's at the top of the classifications, so you could secure that home game for the title game. Looking forward to seeing what the boys' official brackets get posted, because what we're going to show you for the boys is still, I suppose, technically unofficial. We prepared the girls' brackets, and when they were posted, there was a couple changes that we had to make that were different than what we had based on the latest and final sectional classification point standings. So, with that being said, not much time to waste here. First thing I want to do is just kind of talk about the week that was, the last 7 days, which was 25% of the regular season. And there were some big games with teams, on the bubble to try to get into the postseason, which is something different. And also league championships were decided in the Wayne Finger Lakes. And just take a look here at the week that was in boys basketball, going back to Monday night. Wayne defeated Penn Yan, but remember they were down by 10 at halftime and came back and actually won comfortably. But that was kind of shocking if you remember back to Monday night when Wayne was losing to Penn Yan, a good Penn Yan team, by 10 at halftime. And then the South Seneca boys had a pretty big game against Dundee. Bradford boys got that win. Geneva-Waterloo rivalry game. Geneva keeps rolling. And then a big game, probably the biggest game of the night, was Marcus Whitman and Minders. And Minders at home avenged their loss earlier this season in Gorham with a 54-49 win. And things panned out pretty good for both those teams as the week went on in terms of they're both going to be, in sectionals. We were worried a little bit about both, especially Marcus Whitman in a crowded C1 playing in a tough Finger Lakes East League. But they're in. We're going to show you who they're playing coming up. Then moving on, that East Rochester Lions game on Tuesday night was East Rochester's giving Lions some trouble this year. And the 2 times they played were the 2 closest games Lions has had all year. And again, Lions held them off late, 70-61, but they're both Class C1 teams, and we'll take a look at that bracket, obviously, coming up along with Marcus Whitman in C1. North Rose Wolcott boys play Gananda. Pretty big game for Gananda, for both teams, actually. Gananda with a win. And then you look down there, Sodus defeated Clyde, and it happens every year where usually it's in Sodus's gym, but this time Sodus came to Clyde and left with a 1-point victory, and that was a real costly loss in terms of sectional standings for Clyde Savannah. Moving on to Wednesday night, the HAC boys continued to assert themselves as the dominant team in the Finger Lakes West. They defeated Bloomfield in Bloomfield by 20 points. Red Jacket, and the West is pretty wild. You're going to see a lot of West teams in the postseason when we go through the brackets. And Red Jacket got the win against Honeoye. Then Minders went to Wayne, wasn't really that close, and that Wayne's really the one team that blew Minders out twice this year. And Wayne hasn't necessarily blown everybody out this year, but they handled Minders pretty easily the 2 times they played. And then Penn Yan with a big win against Newark, and both these teams struggling near the bottom half of the Finger Lakes East standings. Newark at this point already out of postseason consideration, and Penn Yan got the win at home. Mid-Lakes boys got a win at Dundee. Palmac Geneva was a pretty much the game of the night in terms of the Finger Lakes East. And Geneva avenged their earlier loss this season to Palmac with a 63-46 win. And then Marcus Whitman, not an easy game, have taken on Waterloo, but again, needing sectional points dearly, especially after the Monday loss to Minders. And they got it. They got the win, 67-49. And big win for sure, especially Waterloo's a B school, Whitman's a C school, so that's 6 more sectional points, and that really came in handy in their qualifying for the C2 sectional tournament. Moving on later in the week, Gananda traveled to Lions. We thought Gananda might be, and again, that's the Wayne County Tournament Championship game right there. And so that single game was for the Wayne County title, and Lions took care of business, got the win, 80-56. The rest of those games, consolation bracket games in the Wayne County tournament. And then on Friday night, the final night of the regular season for the Finger Lakes East and West, Mid-Lakes and Lions had picked up a game for the schedule here. They both had an open date, but now there's a lot of misconception about this. A lot of people are like, well, why is Lions playing Mid-Lakes right now, trying to get ready for sectionals, and, they got an opponent that they beat by 60 points. The truth of the matter is the Mid-Lakes contacted Dean Schott and Lions and asked if they would be willing to play. Mid-Lakes was looking to pick up a game, and, they approached Lions. It wasn't the other way around, and they played Friday. A big rivalry game in southern Seneca County. South Seneca defeated Romulus 65-61. Great to see those close rivalry games. And we'll see how those teams are stacking up for the postseason. Spoiler alert, South Seneca is qualified for the postseason. Romulus is going to be on the outside looking in on the boys' side. Girls got in. Dundee Honeoye, another big West game. Dundee with a win. Minders Waterloo, another rivalry game. Again, this one close game in Waterloo. Minders won 67-61. Geneva taking on Penn Yan. Geneva with a win. Waterloo Newark. It's become quite a rivalry over the past few years, but no problem here for Wayne. And then this Marcus Whitman Palmac game. Interesting matchup, but Palmac really starting to look like they're playing like they did at the beginning of the season, which is good for them, sign for them heading into B1 playoffs, 56-49. And let's take a look now at the girls' week that was. Dundee South Seneca girls game of the year in the Finger Lakes West for sure. South Seneca remains undefeated with a 53-42 win. And then you fast forward ahead to just yesterday, March 6th on Saturday. They played again, and again, South Seneca able to hold off a really good Dundee team. South Seneca finishes undefeated. They win the Finger Lakes West, and pretty impressive. And we should go back real quick talking about the boys. Wayne won their 4th straight Finger Lakes East championship. So congratulations to Bill Thompson and the Wayne Eagles. And then, as I mentioned, HAC won the West, and Lions, by virtue of winning the Wayne County tournament, won Wayne County. So those are your league champs there. On the girls' side, Waterloo won the undefeated, win the Finger Lakes East. Congratulations to Mike Bree and his program. And Charity Couch in South Seneca undefeated, her girls undefeated, win the Finger Lakes West. And then in Wayne County, the East Rochester girls defeated North Rose Wolcott, who had made a nice run through the Wayne County tournament, ultimately losing to East Rochester. And this East Rochester girls team is a special team. I'm telling you right now, it would be the type of team that I think in a normal year we would be wondering, geez, can these girls make it to Hudson Valley to the state Final Four? But first, they would have to win a sectional title, but that's where the season will end for them this year if they can. They've been just dominant, looking great this season, fun to watch. I love when there's a really good girls team, really fun to watch them play basketball. So I've enjoyed watching the Bombers. They win the Wayne County Championship. So, still actually trying to check out if these boys' brackets are going to come up before we get to the bracket portion of our show here, because, like I said, I have all the brackets prepared for you, but what I'm going to be showing you is unofficial, and there's likely to be at least 1 or 2 changes. There was on the girls' side when their brackets were posted, and I don't know what's taking so long, but the tournament starts in about 32 hours, 33 hours, I think. Got to get those brackets up. Final power rankings of the season for you here. And again, we just had a preseason and 4 iterations so there were 5 different iterations of our power rankings this year, and we stopped the power rankings prior to postseason. So these will be your final power rankings on the Upstate Hoops podcast here. Let's start with the girls. And yeah, Waterloo number 1, no doubt about that, right? Undefeated, looking pretty dominant in terms of the margins of victory. They had their biggest challenges being Palmac and Mid Lakes, and they handled both of those matchups. They played each team twice. And in both of those games too, Mid Lakes and Palmac were close, like heading into the third quarter, like within reach, and single point games. And in the third quarter, Waterloo just blew them away. And so Waterloo, a heavy favorite, obviously, for sectionals, coming in as our number 1 team in the girls' final power rankings of the season. And then look at that, East Rochester number 2. I can't tell you how impressed I am with East Rochester, and you got to ask yourself when you're comparing teams from different leagues, especially in a season like this where you're not doing a lot of crossovers, what would it look like if East Rochester and Mid Lakes played, or East Rochester and Palmac played? And I got to tell you, I think, I'd think East Rochester would come out on top in those games from seeing what I've seen. This Zoe Zoot, Samantha Lewis. They have a freshman point guard, East Rochester. Just watch them play. If you get a chance, sectionals this week, or you want to go back and check out an East Rochester Bomber girls game from the past couple weeks, they're all online. Go to the East Rochester YouTube channel, and you can check them out. But they make their way all the way up to number 2 in the power rankings, final power rankings. Mid Lakes 3, Palmac 4. Now, a horrible thing happened to Palmac and Minders since we last met. Actually, I think this did happen before the Minders part we knew about on last Sunday, but Minders forced to quarantine because of case of COVID on the team. The game prior to that revelation or diagnosis, positive test, Minders had played Palmac. So that meant Palmac now also has to quarantine. Now, you remember during girls' soccer season, Palmac had a fantastic team, and they had to shut down their season just prior to sectionals, and didn't get a chance to. They were odds-on favorite to win sectionals. So here we go in basketball again, and Palmac again, sectional contender, really good team. and they had to. I'm not sure how they did it, but they determined which girls were most in contact with the Minders player that had tested positive during their game, and they were able to. So 4 varsity girls were able to not have to quarantine. They brought up JV girls, and they completed the regular season. But that will be the configuration for this first round sectional game that they got coming up. And I'm not sure if the girls play Monday or Tuesday. We'll talk about that when we get to the brackets. But yeah, and in a normal year, a top seed first round game, that's fine. But in this year, you're playing. Palmac is going to be a 1 seed in B1, but they're going to be playing an 8 seed, not a 16 seed, or the winner of an 8-9 play-in game even. So, wishing them luck. If they get their full team back, continue the remainder of the tournament. But they come in, Mid Lakes 3, Palmac 4. And then South Seneca Falcons out of the Finger Lakes West, undefeated, looking really, really good, obviously. Undefeated, you wonder why maybe they're not ahead of some of these other teams. South Seneca, kind of size challenge. Like traditionally in the past, their dominant teams have had girls like Jade Parsons or Emily Lavarnway. They don't have that this year, but they're still obviously playing great. It'll be interesting to see if they continue that into the top teams in their bracket in D1, especially if they do have to deal with a team with some size in the middle. But, they've handled that this year. Marcus Whitman has a really good team, and obviously Maddie Ryan, senior, is that type of player that I might assume might give this South Seneca team trouble. But obviously South Seneca got the wins there. They're undefeated. So we'll see. Great team. Penn Yan Mustangs, really, really good basketball team and a really tough Finger Lakes East senior-laden team as well. Really good chance to make something happen in B2 coming up. Dundee Bradford, we mentioned, awesome squad, great season. Just couldn't never get over the hump against South Seneca, who beat them twice. Then they got the Minders Academy Blue Devil girls at 8, but their season suspended. But that's where they're going to slot in for the final power ranking of the year. And then that Marcus Whitman squad, Liz Royston's team that I was mentioning, coming in at 9, competing in C1 coming up. The same bracket as that tough East Rochester team. And then North Rose Wolcott, great run for the North Rose Wolcott girls through the Wayne County tournament. They won a big game at Clyde to get to the finals, and they have a shot to make some noise in C1 as well. Although they did lose, East Rochester won very easily over them in the Wayne County title game, and they're in the same class. Or no, North Rose Wolcott's in B2, so that shouldn't say C1 there. They are in B2. Gananda girls, slow start to the season, great finish to the season. I think that they were 0-3 to start the season, and then maybe 4-2 the rest of the way. So they come in 11. Clyde girls, kind of the opposite, great start to the season, and they've been struggling lately, including that home loss to North Rose Wolcott in the semis of the Wayne County tournament. But in Class D1, positioned to make a run, they'd have to deal with that South Seneca girls team at some point too if they want to win a sectional title. And then you got the Lions girls, came off of quarantine, got a big win against Sodas yesterday in a game that was kind of added to the schedule, or a makeup game perhaps, after they lost in the opening round of the Wayne County tournament, but then went on to win the consolation bracket. So they kind of played themselves into the top 8 in C1 after having that 10-day quarantine pause their season. Red Jacket girls, despite the big losses last year to graduation, looking solid. And then the Geneva Panthers coming at 15. Geneva was not looking good this year at all. Like, would have think they weren't going to win a game, but this past week, Wayne Eagles and Newark Reds, couple wins for Geneva to get 2 wins on the season, which after what we saw early on, I'm almost ready to give Ed Collins Coach of the Year in the Finger Lakes East. So Geneva Panthers pop into 15 for the final girls power rankings, and now let's go to the boys power rankings, and Wayne stays at 1. Lions at 2, Geneva at 3. And then you got Palmac boys with that impressive win over Marcus Whitman. a solid hold on the 4 spot. And then Minders and Pelmac split on the season, comes in at 5. Marcus Whitman at 6. HAC, the FL West champ, 7. Gananda playing good basketball with a senior point guard. That's always a good sign heading into sectionals when to have a solid senior leader like that with some experience. The Peñam boys are going to be on the outside of B2 looking in terms of not qualifying top 8. It's unfortunate because I think they're definitely one of the top 8 teams in B2, playing a tough league. And so we got them slotted in at 9 in our final power rankings. East Rochester boys, pretty solid bunch, looking good throughout the second half of the season. Dundee, Bradford boys coming in 11. Red Jacket boys 12. Honeoye 13. So some Finger Lakes West teams, and then Clyde Savannah lost at home to North Rose Wolcott in the. I think that would have been the first round of the Wayne County tournament, or maybe it was the consolation bracket, but that was a little shocking. And Clyde Savannah boys really struggling into sectionals. Let's see if they can turn it around before play begins next week. By next week, I mean either tomorrow or Tuesday. And then the South Seneca boys, good start to the season, then kind of struggled and then started playing better. They're in D1, and they finished 15 on our power rankings for the year. So there you have it. So I'm just going to check one more time for these boys sectional brackets just so I can compare them with what we have in case there's any discrepancies, and they're still not posted. So with that said, I think it's time to start looking at some brackets here. And it's normally this show we got a panel in the studio, but pandemic and everything, and so I'm been sitting here doing the shows. Everything we've done this year has looked different. Not even sure exactly what we're going to do heading into sectionals as far as our coverage. We might do a game night live for the first rounds. We might get out there and call some games. Obviously, we're going to have full brackets and updates throughout the week. Hoping to get into the gyms for the semifinals and finals and call some games, but these are things we got to deal with. So NFHS has exclusive rights to the Class B, A, and B semifinal and championship games, I think. So we'd need their permission to even do a video broadcast of those games. And then, of course, if you want to watch them, you can subscribe for $12. Or I'm thinking that those schools that will still provide their normal stream. I mean, that's the thing that's screwed up, And Section 5 has an exclusive rights deal with a national company called NFHS. But now everybody's streaming their own games. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out. And so then I'm looking to do some post games. Finger Lakes 1 looking to do postseason games as we usually do. And if we want to do a video stream, $300 license fee for one game. So if we want to go to the Atwin Gymnasium for a semifinal or a final game in Class C2, boys, and we want to do that game, announce it, broadcast it with video, $300. And I don't understand the value proposition there. It's certainly not a commodity to the point where it's worth $300 for us to have the right to do that. And so then I thought to myself, geez, Lions is going to produce their own stream of that game as they have all season. I said, what if I just called Athletic Director Steve Veter and said, Steve, how about if we come in and provide the live video services from that game? You don't have to use your cam, and we'll just do our broadcast, and that'll be your official school stream. And I'm pretty sure a lot of athletic directors would agree to that scenario. So I inquired with Section 5, and they said, no, we can't do that. We'd have to pay the $300 because we're a media entity. So needless to say, frustrating, especially in a season here where there's short turnaround. And I don't even have brackets up, so we're supposed to pay $300 to broadcast a game. There's no brackets yet for us to review to see what games we might do. Now, fortunately, we keep our own records at Finger Lakes 1, so I could have some kind of idea of it. But this whole thing about, it's killing it. And it's not just me. I've talked to several folks who broadcast games on the radio, for example, and, they're not happy about it. And I even question the legality of selling rights to a game that's taxpayer-funded entity. So, if you pay your school taxes, you want to watch your team, your community's team play in sectionals, you got to subscribe to NFHS for $13 a month. So I don't know exactly. Again, it's just in our situation. Most postseason games we do, between 12 and 20 postseason games at Finger Lakes 1. We don't follow just one school and do only that school. Traditionally, over the past few years, we have done between 12 and 20 postseason games. At $300 each, or even the audio fee to do audio streaming, it adds up. And, we do have great sponsors, but they're covering our regular season, which is expansive, and then so a lot of times we ask for donations, but to me it's just crazy. Why can't we just show up and highlight these kids and do our broadcast? But we can't unless we want to pay, or we get permission from NFHS, a national company. And again, not just affecting us at Finger Lakes 1, all local media. Personally, I think with something better could be worked out, especially at the Blue Cross Arena, where we could get all sorts of media to cooperate with. Can you imagine if we were doing a live stream throughout all the final games of sectionals at the Blue Cross and for the girls, and we were bringing in people, getting people involved like Paul Gotham from Picking Splinters, all the various other newspaper beat writers that you see on Twitter promoting high school athletes. But again, I'm getting a little off topic here. I just don't know what our plans are next week because, I don't know where we're going to be 3 days from now if we're going to be doing a game, because there's so much uncertainty and there's a price tag on us too. So, what the easiest thing for us to do is say, oh, well, we're going to just opt out and just stop doing this altogether. And then, I'll go, for a walk with my dog or something, make some sauce for dinner tonight and just relax and not worry about this stuff. But we love it. We want to cover it. And one of the things that we love most about it are the postseason tournaments and the battles, late winter, early spring battles into sectionals for a sectional title. And then for some teams, they move on to a bigger stage and represent our communities on a state level. So we do love that and we do enjoy that. And with that being said, it's time to look at some brackets. And let's start out. We'll jump around a little bit. We'll go boy, girl in each class. And I think we can start out with the D2 boys. Now, this is a class that the only Wayne Finger Lakes team in was Romulus. They did not qualify. And so you got a really good Avoca Prattsburgh team at the 1 seed. And those first round games on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for D2 boys. And how about the D1 boys? Hey, there's South Seneca and Honeoye, 3 and 4 seeds. Fillmore looking really strong this year, as is Wheatland Chile, but no, not so dominant in the way that you will see in some other classes where a 4 or a 3 seed, Honeoye or South Seneca, couldn't make a run. South Seneca will have a tough game to start with charter school in Eugenio Maria, who was placed in Class D1. Kind of new to the basketball scene, or scholastic scene here in the Wayne Finger Lakes, or the Section 5. Honeoye is going to play Alfred Allman. So these teams wouldn't potentially meet unless they both made it all the way to the finals. And then you got Hammondsport down there as a 7 seed, another local team that's not in the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues, but wouldn't mind seeing them in the Finger Lakes West one day maybe. So that's Class D1 boys, and again, the boys side are unofficial. The girls actually are posted, and we verified them. So this is unofficial on the boys side of things here for the brackets. Let's look at what's going on in the girls. D2 girls, where Romulus sneaks in as the 8 seed. They'll have to play a juggernaut of a squad in Elba. But you saw Romulus only lost by 4 to South Seneca on Friday. And, you're not going to find many better girls basketball teams in Class D2 than South Seneca. So that does leave open the possibility in my mind that we could have a first-round upset. And if Romulus can beat Elba, well, he certainly can beat anybody else in this bracket. And including Prattsburg Avoca, another perennial strong squad in this class. So let's see if Romulus can pull the upset in the first round and move on in D2. Now in Class D1, we got a number 1 seed. South Seneca Lady Falcons, undefeated. And way down at the bottom of that bracket, the number 2 seed, Batavia Notre Dame, an old nemesis of South Seneca for sure, but certainly I think South Seneca has gotten the better of Notre Dame Batavia more often than not, as they were a team that they met a few times as they made their runs through sectionals and onto states over the past 6-7 years. So South Seneca, obvious favorites to win Class D1 girls and win yet another sectional title for one of the best girls basketball programs in New York State. And a lot of these times South Seneca's been competing in the Class C tournament. They're in D this year. Doesn't not necessarily automatically make it easier. You can have some great teams in Class D that might be a C2 champion, but in this case, South Seneca set up pretty nice. All home games throughout. They kick it off Tuesday night as they begin their quest for a sectional title. All right, let's shift gears now and take a look at all the way up to Class AA boys. This is a big one. And how about the Victor Blue Devils picking up the top seed? Something we would be unheard of. It really up until past year or two, that idea of Victor being a number 1 seed in the biggest class in Section 5 basketball would be unheard of. You wouldn't believe it. But there they are. And they got to take on UPrep in the first round. And then you see Gates Chile. Some of the Class AA this year was kind of swept around a little bit. Like, I don't see Fairport, Aquinas a 3 seed, Gates Chile a 2 seed, while McQuaid's a 7 seed. So, obviously this is the bracket that receives the most attention, especially from Rochester area media, and rightfully so. Should be a good tournament, and Victor heads in out of Ontario County is the number 1 seed. How about girls AA? Bishop Kearney, a 1 seed. There's Fairport as a 3 seed, and Gates Chile also a 2 seed on the girls' side. And Victor, instead of being the 1 seed, 8 seed, they got a tough first round game on Monday for sure against Bishop Kearney. Let's keep it with the girls and look at single A, where Canandaigua comes in as the 2 seed. This is Geneva's bracket. They did not qualify in the top 8. It was a big class too. I think there might have been 16, 17 teams in here, because you'll see Class A girls, or for the girls there's just AA and A. For the boys we got an A1 and A2 classification that we're going to show you right now. Start with A1. Canandaigua comes in as a 5 seed, Pittsburgh Mendon the 1 seed, Webster Thomas the 2 seed, and then there's Irondequoit at 3, Leadership at 4. So it sets up some interesting matchups, including Leadership Canandaigua 4-5 game. Winner moves on to likely take on Pittsburgh Mendon Those games Tuesday with a Saturday final in Class A. And now moving on to A2. And hey, there's the Geneva Panthers, kind of cast off, the only Finger Lakes East team this year in A. Perennially, Wayne is an A2 school. They won 2 sectional titles as an A2 school in the past few years. But now Geneva kind of all alone against these other, Rochester City schools, Monroe County schools. So in a bracket with East High, they got to take on Greece Athena in the 4 or 5 game. And then you see Monroe at number 2 seed down the bottom. Now, there's no saying that Geneva can't beat any one of these teams and win the Class A2 championship, win a sectional title for the first time since 2014 with a player like Junior Martin. They should be able to hang with anybody. East High, however, has like Devin Martins of their own, and this is a tough bracket when you compare it to perhaps what the B1 boys bracket will look like. And but Coach Desering, the Geneva Panthers, certainly have what it takes to make a run through this bracket, and we'll have to see. I feel a little more confident if Geneva was able to beat Wayne once this year. They did lose twice to them, and they lost to Palmac as well earlier in the season at Palmac. So a 3-loss Geneva team. Be a tall task in A2 for sure, but I think that they can do it. So we're going to have to watch how those games play out. Again, Tuesday night, first round, Saturday championship with the semifinals on Thursday. So got to see how it's going here. And as I go through this, I continue to check the Section 5 website looking for brackets just to verify that what I'm showing you is indeed correct. So remember, as I show you these boys' brackets, they're the unofficial brackets. The girls' side is official, and yeah, they still are not posted now as of 10:37 on the day before the tournament starts. So anyway, let's move on, and let's see which one we're going to go with here. How about B1 girls? We're going to spend a little time here in the B and C classifications for sure on the Upstate Hoops Podcast Sectional Preview Edition, knowing full well that this is where the meat of the Wayne Finger Lakes competes. And in B1, you don't see Waterloo there because they're a B2 school this basketball season. They were B1 for boys, B2 for girls. And Palmac, despite their late season issues that I talked about off the top of the show, and the fact that they lost to Mid Lakes on Friday night, they're your number 1 seed. And look at this, the Newark girls sneak in as the 8 seed. And, the Newark girls have lost some close games. I don't see a scenario where Newark is able to beat Palmac, although they are a diminished Palmac team for this first round game. Back to full strength by Thursday if they can beat Newark. So that aspect makes it a little more interesting in the fact that maybe Newark could get a pull off a victory. And, Caleb Bryant and Michaela Colasino, the Newark team has players and they have shooters. And they sneak in as the 8 seed. And this was one that, according to the sectional standings, they were the 9th seed. So when the brackets came out, I saw, wow, Newark actually is in as the 8 seed. And so we got an all-Finger Lakes East first-round matchup on Tuesday night between Palmac and Newark. Hornell-Livonia 4-5. That's a rivalry game, and that's going to make things tough on the winner of the Palmac-Newark game, too, having to face one of those 2 tough teams. Batavia is the 3 seed in the bracket. And then, look, another all-Finger Lakes East first-round matchup, Mid Lakes and Wayne. Now, Wayne struggled in the Finger Lakes East for sure. They did win an overtime game against Newark. I think that might have been the last game they won. But they're taking place on a real tough Mid Lakes team. With Kara Walker, her sister Callie Walker, a team that has pedigree as a sectional champion and a New York State Final Four participant. There's girls on this team that went to Hudson Valley Community College. I mean, Kara Walker, senior, she went twice. So there's sectional champions already on the team. Nate Rich has won sectional championships in the past 3 years, and is the number 2 seed. Very strong squad. You know, game against Batavia would be tough in the semis if that's what it turns out to be. But you know, I think there's a slightly better chance of Mid-Lakes getting to the finals than Palmac, but the most likely scenario would be a Mid-Lakes Palmac final. And we would love that. We love the the all Finger Lakes East finals in Class B for sure. How about B2 girls? Well, Waterloo's undefeated number 1 seed. The Minders girls actually had this 8 slot, but their season on pause due to quarantine actually over. They must have opted out completely to allow Wayland Cohocton to slide into the 8th spot. So Wayland will come to Waterloo, and hasn't been a great place to visit for visiting girls basketball teams this season. And Waterloo primed up to roll through this bracket. Be interesting to see how close this Wellsville North Rose Wolcott game is. Because I'll tell you right now, if Waterloo plays North Rose Wolcott head up, I would put the point spread at about 25. And it's no disrespect to North Rose Wolcott. It's just this is the difference, especially on the girls' side, between the Wayne County Leagues and the Finger Lakes East teams. And so if Wellsville wins but struggles with North Rose Wolcott, then that's even more evidence to me that Waterloo's going to cruise to the finals, where they could meet a fellow league mate in Penn Yan, who I think that's tough for Waterloo to have to potentially face a league game. I think that could be trouble. But this number 2 seed Dansville Mustang team is really, really good. Waterloo Dansville will be a heck of a game if it plays out to be the final matchup, and it will be in Waterloo, fortunately for the Lady Indians. That would be Saturday. I think that's what everybody's kind of penciling in right now in Class B2 girls, and I can't argue with them. I just see Penn Yan there and wonder if Penn Yan can maybe pull an upset if that materializes in the semifinals, Penn Yan Dansville. So pretty interesting B2 girls bracket, but pointing to a Waterloo Dansville final that would be a real dandy. So Class B, over to the boys. Heavy Finger Lakes East laden boys bracket, but you see, we're devoid of. This is a much less. You usually see lots of Finger Lakes East teams in the B1 bracket, but we got Wayne, the number 2 seed, which they're tied with Batavia. They're listed on the site as a 2 seed. I can't confirm or deny that they're the 2 seed or the 1 seed. I don't know how they'll break that tie, except for the fact that in the standings list, Batavia's 1 and Wayne is 2. And while I'm sitting here wondering about this, I'm going to check the website again to see if we have some sectional brackets posted for the boys tournament, and there is not. So when you look at these brackets, understand that maybe Wayne's going to be the number 1 seed, and you swap those two between each other. But again, according to the sectional standings, that should be final, seeing that they do include all the results from Friday and Saturday. This is the way it should look. But the fact that Batavia and Wayne are tied for everything, wins, points, point average, game played, I don't know how you break that tie other than a coin toss. And if you're going to do a coin toss this year, that is a very consequential exercise of chance to determine who would host a game between the 1 and 2 seeds if they both got to the finals. And there's a pretty good chance that they are both going to get to the finals. So that's going to be something. I wish I could tell you exactly what was going on with that. But again, waiting for the official brackets to actually come out. And no, man, I just realized I didn't hit the go live button on YouTube this morning. Unbelievable. So the whole show has been live on Facebook. And yeah, man, that's bad that I did that. Hey, welcome everybody. Real quick, we'll kind of reset. If you're watching us on YouTube, I screwed up. We didn't go live on YouTube at the proper time. We have been live on Facebook. When this show's over, I will swap out the video from Facebook so you can check out everything that we've talked about so far during this show. I'm Jim Sindicropi. It's the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Yeah, this is what happens when you're up late trying to prepare things for the show, and then up early as well and do all this work, and then you don't hit the go live button. Sitting here in our Mechanic Street studio, fingerlakes1.com, instead of the main studio. So apologize to all you folks that have been waiting for this show on YouTube. Again, the entirety of the show is on Facebook, so when we're done with this stream here on YouTube, on Finger Lakes 1, we'll swap in the Facebook video so you can check it out. But for now, we are live on YouTube, and we'll continue the show and go from there. So we're talking about the Class B1 boys bracket. I'll throw that up again for you. That's A2 actually. And you see Pelmac as a 4 seed, and Wayne, as I mentioned, not sure if they're a 1 or a 2 seed. Because they're exactly tied. So, and again, just join us. The boys bracket's still not posted online, so what we're showing you here is actually unofficial. And the girls brackets have been posted, so I would consider those official. So let's move on to Class B2. And B2 boys. You won't find a Wayne Finger Lakes team until you get to Minders as the 6th seed. And then Williamson is the 8th seed, being thrown to the Wolves in North Star Christian, the top seed. And all season long with this particular classification, I've been talking about, and a lot of people have been talking about how it's unfair that North Star Christian and CG Finney are in B2 somewhat arbitrarily, make it real difficult for a team like Minders or Wellsville, more difficult to compete with the schools of their sizes and try to win a sectional title. So, with that being said, I don't see why Minders can't beat CG Finney or North Star Christian. CG Finney has 2 losses on the season. They do have Marcus Robinson, who's an unbelievable player. But again, they have a couple losses on the season. And North Star Christian has a loss. It was a 12-point loss to Finney. North Star Christian and Finney, both really good teams. But this is a test for like a Minders and the Finger Lakes East. A lot of people said the Finger Lakes East is a little down this year. Minders, who finished middle of the pack, I think at 4-3 or 4-3 in the league standings, maybe a chance to show that, hey, the Finger Lakes East is stronger than we thought if they can pull out a victory here. I don't like just casting them off because North Star Christian was placed in their bracket, but we've seen it so often before where North Star Christian will meet a Wayne Finger Lakes team in the final and various classifications. So again, there's no reason this Minders team can't make a run. You're always going to play tough teams in sectional finals. And so I think the time to complain about North Star or Finney being in B2 is past. And the time to go out and try to win a sectional title, if your Minders Academy has arrived. They certainly have the depth, senior leadership, talent, size. I mean, what is it that this Minders team would lack to win a sectional title this year by this time next week? Maybe the chemistry? I don't think they've ever really clicked completely. They've had some good wins. They've had some bad losses. So, but, it's short season. Sometimes it takes in any season, it takes a little time to build chemistry. So maybe they're coming in together at the right time now. But they'll open up if this is the other thing that's really difficult based on where they got seated. If this holds, and I believe this bracket would be most accurate, there's less chances for issues. But they got to go to Wellsville Monday night. So I don't know if you've been to Wellsville. We went last year to broadcast a game between Minders and Wellsville, and it's a long drive. I mean, just shy of 3 hours to get there. Monday night game. It's another layer of difficulty, another hurdle, I suppose, that Minders would have to overcome. And why are we talking about a 6 seed like this? Well, first of all, like I said, I think they're legitimate contenders. We'll find out. We could be wrong on Monday night before we go to bed. We might say, "Oh yeah, I guess they're not contenders." Or we go to bed Monday night. They're driving home from Wellsville, probably getting back into town around 1 a.m. I say, yeah. So if Miners can beat Wellsville Monday night, we're going to really look forward to the game against likely C.G. Finney on Wednesday night, and then you survive in advance. So there is your B2 bracket for the boys, and with that we should be moving on. I'll take one more look at B1, and now let's move on to the C brackets, and let's start with the girls. C1 girls. All Wayne County first round matchup. East Rochester Lions. Look, East Rochester's really good, guys. East Rochester is really good. This would be a major upset from Lions, who is playing better after restarting after putting their season on pause for 10 days. But Lions will have to go to East Rochester. East Rochester has size, experience. They got talent. They got a freshman point guard that's been great. Going to be a tall task for the Lions, Lady Lions, but that's a all Wayne County first round matchup between the top seed East Rochester Bombers and Lions. And then you got out of the West, Liz Royston's Marcus Whitman Lady Wildcats coming at the 5 seed, a good 4-5 game against Alexander. If they can survive, they'll get a shot at East Rochester or potentially Lions. And then as we move down through the bracket, you see a number 7 seed Gananda, tough 7 seed though, a team that's played much better past couple weeks to kind of play themselves into the top 8, and so they'll have to travel to Avon for their first round game. Looking at the C2 Girls Championship tournament, you see Dundee Bradford. Great season except for the fact that they couldn't beat, as nobody could, the South Seneca Lady Falcons in the Finger Lakes West schedule. But they come in as a 3 seed. And you see Clyde as a 5 seed. And Red Creek up there, they should have been colored red. You see him as an 8 seed, which is great because this means Izzy Wilbur's great high school career is extended for at least one more game. They'll travel to Pavilion. And in this particular bracket too, you're saying we got Finger Lakes West teams, we got some middle of the road Wayne County teams. How do the leagues stack up with these other leagues? Is Dundee Bradford, despite having a successful season in the West, going to get lose by 20 to Geneseo, a 6 seed, or are they going to win by 20? It's difficult to gauge which leagues are some of these matchups because there was never any crossover games between the leagues. You're all playing in league. So, Clyde was great in Wayne County, kind of stumbled home into the postseason. At one point, they were as high as a 2 seed in C2. But, how would Wayne County's league stack up against, teams like Boulevard, Richford? We're going to find out. 4-5 game. And who's to say that if Clyde doesn't advance, that they aren't every bit as good as a Pavilion team? Because, like I said, we can't gauge it because none of these teams played out of league this year. The past 4 weeks, this month, I should say. shortened season. And then Oakfield, Alabama, the Hornets, perennially strong girls basketball program, come in as the 2 seed. So these first round games will be Monday. And that was C1 and C2 girls. Let's look at C1 and C2 boys. This was one of the brackets that we were most highly anticipating for sure heading into this season. Lions top seed. They're going for 4 straight sectional titles, and they're going to be at home at the Atwood Gymnasium every step of the way through the finals. Heavily favored, undefeated, but look who they got to play in the first round game. The team that probably gave them the most trouble, single-digit finals, East Rochester. Actually, I shouldn't say single-digit finals. I think one of the games finished it in single digits margin, and one was 12 or 14. But they were close games into the fourth quarter. Not saying that Lions doesn't come in heavily favored, especially playing at home. But if there was one team in their league to play that, again, seems to match up well with them, it's East Rochester. So no gimme in the first round for Lions. Then, look at this. Gananda Marcus Whitman playing semifinals again, unofficially because the official bracket's not posted yet. And I'm just checking again, as I've done like every 5 minutes during this show. And they are not posted yet. But this is likely to be, because these brackets were created through the sectional point standings, and Gananda Marcus Whitman, 4-5 game. They played in the semifinals last year of sectionals and it was a great game at Newark High School. And so they're going to renew this, and Marcus Whitman has to go to Gananda. Now, Marcus Whitman played their regular season in the Finger Lakes East, and a tough league. If they played, first of all, if they played in the West, they would be the 2 seed for sure, maybe the 1 seed, because they probably wouldn't have lost a game. Maybe HAC would have got them. I don't know. If they played in Wayne County, they would certainly be a higher seed than I think Gananda, based on what we've seen. But they played in the tough Finger Lakes East. They lost some games, and that means they're going to go on the road to Gananda. But if I know Greg O'Connor and his squad, they're just going to take it as an extra challenge, and they're going to go try to get that win at Gananda. And then a matchup we've anticipated all season long could happen in the semifinals on Thursday. Marcus Whitman against Lions in the semifinals at the Atwood Gymnasium. Yeah, that would be one that would get us really excited for a chance to go to the finals. And then you look at the bottom half of the bracket. Number 2, Avon, really strong squad. Likely favorites to get to the finals. Red Jacket boys going to have to pull an upset at Canisteo Greenwood, and if they did, their reward would be likely a game at Avon. So tough road to hoe for Red Jacket at the bottom of that bracket, with all these Wayne Finger Lakes teams at the top of the bracket. But potential, no matter who wins those first round games up top, it's going to be a great semifinal matchup. And I don't want to say, I don't want to assume it will be Marcus Whitman, because we saw how great a game those two teams played last year, and Gananda is certainly capable. What a point guard battle in that game. Jordan Lehue and Andrew Gabbard squaring off. So, yeah, this is a really interesting bracket, and one that we're obviously going to keep a close eye on as the week goes on. How about, I think we've gone through all the brackets. We got one more to go. Right there. C2. And in Class C2, the number 2 seed is Harley Allendale Columbia, the Wolves. Max Brown and company, great season. we didn't have you on our radar preseason. It took us about 2 weeks, and great job earning a number 2 seed, playing out of the Finger Lakes West. And they're going to have a tough matchup. And this, again, goes to that conversation about league versus league. Clyde Savannah in this game against HAC really has represented the Wayne County League. A lot of people have been down on Wayne County, with lines just rolling through saying Wayne County is down. But if Clyde Savannah, a team that I believe finished 4th, in Wayne County in the standings, and then lost in the first round of the Wayne County tournament to boot. If they could beat the Wayne Finger Lakes West champ, a 2 seed in this tournament, that would say a lot about Wayne County as opposed to the Finger Lakes West. Either way, the winner of that game would face the winner of Oakfield, Alabama, and Dundee. Dundee, a pretty strong boys team. That would be a potential, if Dundee could upset Oakfield, Alabama, that would be a potential all Wayne Finger Lakes semifinal. And then up top of the bracket, though, Cal Mum. That's the thing. Really good Cal Mum program and team, heavily favored in this bracket. They would have to take on York or Geneseo after the first round game. And then, you're looking at a final, maybe Cal Mum, Clyde Savannah, Cal Mum, HAC, Cal Mum, Oakfield, Alabama, or Cal Mum, Dundee. Those games kick off Tuesday night. So, we just did make it all the way through the brackets, and oh my God, I'm so sorry to our YouTube viewers. We never did the final step to take us live on YouTube. The whole show has been streaming live on Facebook. And we'll put that video up on fingerlakes1.com and get the whole video hopefully up to YouTube. But crazy. But not making excuses. Was up really late last night preparing for this show. And then up again early this morning with the fingers crossed that we would get brackets posted. But again, as of 11 o'clock right now, as I'll just check again, no brackets on the boys' side. Girls' side, all taken care of. Brackets up. I double-checked them against our work that we did to prepare the brackets for the show today, and there was a couple changes. So the brackets you saw from the boys' side, unofficial. The girls' side during our show today were official. So take with a grain of salt everything you saw on the boys' side. There might be a change or two because, like I said, there was actually a change or two on the girls' side based on the brackets we built from the final sectional point standings. That could happen for various reasons. But with that being said, as soon as we get offline here for this show, we'll work on or you can go to our Facebook page and just watch the whole episode from there. But we're going to work on getting that video over onto fingerlakes1.com and onto our YouTube channel. Probably delete this video. Pretty upset with myself for screwing that up on what traditionally is our biggest episode of the season. But things have been hard this year for everybody, and I think we're all grateful that we were able to have such a great 4 weeks of high school basketball, even though it looked a lot different. And now hoping to have a great sectional week. 1 week sectionals, 3 rounds, 1 week. By this time next week, it'll all be over. We'll have sectional champions crowned. And, looking forward to it. Like I said, it's going to be different, but it's going to be awesome. No exact word yet on our plans on what we're doing to cover the sectional season, although you can guarantee we're going to be covering it pretty closely. We'll have brackets posted. We'll have results posted nightly. But, will we be broadcasting some live games? Probably. Semifinals, finals. But as I mentioned off the top of the show, there is a lot of considerations and frustrations in trying to do that. Perhaps a game night live for the first 2 rounds, which should be pretty awesome. A lot of games going on. So for the boys brackets on Monday, it'll be the B and D games, and the girls on Monday will be the A and C classes playing. And then Tuesday night first round games for the boys will be A's and C's, and for the girls it'll be B's and D's. So I don't know if you follow me there, but we'll have the full schedule posted by the end of the night tonight. We'll have everything set to go. Sectionals are here. Again, grateful that they were able to play. Didn't look like it until very late January when the word came down that we were going to have high school basketball and what it was going to look like. And, grateful, as I said before, that we're able to enjoy the last 4 weeks of basketball. And there's been a lot of good things that came out of this season. For one, webcasts everywhere. You watch any game from the comfort of your own home. We never had that before. That's something that should continue forward into next season. Another thing that happened, I think we're going to have to, it might make us reevaluate a little bit about how sectionals are run. Are we going to keep it an open sectionals as it has been in the past? Or maybe, you do have to qualify for sectionals. I don't know if that's something that's under discussion, but it certainly made the regular season a lot more interesting than usual. Having to be top 8. I'm not saying maybe top 8, but maybe they cut it off at top 10 or 12 for sectionals going forward. But as I mentioned, going to be a great week, great season. Good luck to all you high school basketball players and coaches and parents over the next 6 days starting tomorrow. Going to be a lot of games. Seasons are going to be advanced for 2 days or be over after each round, and excited to see what it feels like in a small high school gym for a sectional championship game with limited fans. It will be different, but the banners that get hung on the gym's walls will be just as legitimate and real as the ones next to them. So, as I said, good luck. Thanks for being with me here on the Upstate Hoops Podcast Sectional Preview Edition. Again, apologize to our YouTube viewers. Hop over to our Facebook page, watch the entire episode, or wait about half an hour, and we'll have that all posted on FingerLakes1.com. So, connect with us on Twitter, at FingerLakes1. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Our audio-only podcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher.com, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Archive episodes available at FingerLakes1.com, and this podcast airs weekly on Sunday night on Finger Lakes TV, Spectrum Channel 1304. You can also find our show, live stream games, and local news, weather, and sports 24/7 on the free FingerLakes1.com Android or iPhone app. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you for the start of postseason tomorrow night, Monday night. It all gets underway. Thanks for watching the Upstate Hoops Podcast, and have a great Sunday, everybody.